All right, we're now starting lesson 10 of 11. It's on adding validation. I purposely made this bigger because I want you to look on the screen. It says here, keeping things dry. Everybody see that on the screen? DRY is an acronym. Anybody know what it stands for? Do not repeat yourself. So the idea is you should be able to write things in a manner where you write them generically so that they can be reused. All right? So they mention here one of the core tenets of ASP.NET is DRY. ASP.NET MVC encourages you to specify functionality or behavior only once and then be able to use it and reuse it. This reduces the amount of code you need to write, makes the code less error prone, and since there's less of it, it's easier to maintain. All right? So what we're going to do, as it says, is we're going to begin by adding some validation logic to the movies class. All right? So the first thing we are to do, if you all would do this, please, is to go underneath models, and open up underneath models movie.cs. It's the one we just added the rating to just a couple minutes ago. All right, and we're going to make some changes. The ID is fine the way it is. We're going to start making changes, though, with the next one. You've got your choice. Please look up on the screen, no matter what you're doing. You got your choice. You can either go to the file here and copy it in, or you're going to have to add all that yellow stuff. See that? So it might be easier to just grab everything that's in there, copy it to the clipboard, and come back in and just paste it in right here. Again, if you don't agree with that, you're not going to do it anyway. All right? What I want you to do, and I don't want to waste a lot of time doing this. Again, our time's limited today. You already know that. But if you look on the screen here, I want to quickly go over what they've done. They said the ID is fine the way it is. The title can be a maximum of 60 characters, but it must be at least 3 characters. If you make it less than 3, or if you make it more than 60, we're not putting our own message there. We're going to get a generic error message. Does that make sense? All right. Then, we've already done that earlier. Instead of having it say release date where it's 1 word, we've got 2 words, nothing new there. We went and took our release date and gave it a nice looking format. You've already seen that. All right. But this is new. Please look. This is for the genre. For lack of better words, just so you know what this means, is the genre, okay, the genre will only accept letters, upper or lowercase letters, okay? And that's a regular expression. We have talked about regular expressions in other classes, okay? Not only that, the genre is required and can be a maximum of 30 characters. Then we've got currency. Look at this, please. This says that price is of type currency, and the cheapest movie we can have is $1. The most expensive movie we can have is $100. Does that make sense? Yeah, yes. And for rating, I already mentioned that, and that's basically it. All right. The author says the string length attribute sets the maximum length for a string. Okay. Now the problem is now that this may or may not be out of sync with what's in the database. Did you hear me? Guess what? It's out of sync with what's in the database. What do I mean? I'm going to bring this up again. I already showed you this. I'm going to open the table definition. See all these things that say max? That means they can be 65,536 characters. We just changed a bunch of the ones in ours, and we made them 30 or 60, right? So this is now out of sync. All right? So what do? Two things. First, click your double disk icon right there. Second, bring up your package manager. All right? Bring up the package manager. Get it to come up. Why it does that, I don't know. All right, so I'm going to go back to Tools, Package Manager. Come on up. There it is. Okay, and we have to do another add migration. So add -migration. They tell you to call this one data annotations, because that's what we just did. Please look on the screen here. When I hit enter, that should be creating another file inside of our migrations folder. There's two of them right now that start with 2018. I put in add migration data annotations. I hit enter. Again, ideally it's going to come back, and when it does come back, it'll come back in yellow, and I'll get another file over here. Yes. That means you can't do anything until it's okay. I mean, you're hung. I don't know how you could do that other than to drop the database and start the whole process all over again. All right. Next, we want to go in and we want to update the database. So update minus database. So we did two commands here. Look on the screen. Add hyphen migration space data annotations. Then updates hyphen database. Hit enter. All right. Now, the easiest thing to show you, if you all again would look up on the screen, please, is if I go back to this file again and I right mouse click on it and choose open table definition, would you agree it's changed? There's nothing in there that says max anymore. So we're constantly making sure when we do it this way that the stuff that we're working with is kept in sync with one another. All right? That's the key thing. All right, I'm going to close that. I'm going to close this and this. A lot of stuff open here that I don't think I'm going to need, so I'm just going to close most of it. All right. So we did the equivalent of this. If you look right now, look on the screen. We told it to alter the database. That's what the author is telling you right there. And that is what we did. We looked at the schema, and you saw that indeed it did change. All right. Notice the genre also is no longer, all right, it says it will show the new string length, and genre is no longer checked as nullable. I don't care if it is or not. If it's checked, remember, if it's checked, we can leave it blank. If it's not checked, we can't. The validation property attributes, as it says, that you want to enforce are the required and the minimum length, along with regular expression. If you look on the screen here, it says, code first ensures that validation rules you specify are enforced before the application changes for the database. What does that mean? Well, would you all agree? All right, would you all agree that the movie ID field is an integer, right? It's an ID field, it's an integer. So what it's saying is if we try doing something illegal with it, like converting it to a double, it wouldn't let us do it. All right, so there are checks put in to try, for lack of better words, to save you from you. And that's right here. You go to add the movie, you go to change it, and if something is not there, you're going to get an error. Well, look at this example they show here. You're trying to add a new movie, Gone with the Wind, you give it a title, and you do an ad. What's it missing? It doesn't have a price, it doesn't have a genre, it doesn't have a release date. So it's going to fail. And that's exactly what the author is telling you in there. All right? So having validation rules automatically enforced by the .NET framework helps your application be more robust. It also ensures you can't forget to validate something. All right? So we're supposed to save what we're working on. Everybody save it and run the application. What we're going to do now is test what we just did. All right? Doesn't matter where you started it, but what I want you to do is when this comes up, eventually, when this comes up, and yeah, I wish it was faster myself. This normally doesn't take this long, so I'm going to stop it and try run it again. If you're not there, go to movies. All right? If you're not already there, go to movies. And if you're at movies index, like I am here, we're going to change this. Again, why this is taken, so there we go. We want to go to create. So look on the screen. You can either type create in there, or we can click create new right here. Okay? All right. Now, look on the screen, please. I want to break every rule I can. So I'm going to click create. Okay? Dates required, genre is required, price is required. Rating is not required, title is not required. Yeah, technically title is. Watch what I mean. I'm going to put in here 2 letters. That's it. Notice the title field must be a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 60. Well, I'm going to come in here and literally just put in a boatload of C's. I know I'm going to have more than 60. And I get the same message. All right? What I'm trying to tell you, maybe not well, but what I'm trying to tell you is after you make those changes, you ought to check every single one of them to make sure they're working. Yes.
Can you edit those error messages?
Yes. Because the way that you edit the error message is in those data annotations that we added, you can put in your own error message. And literally you can have it say anything you want it to say. Okay, the thing to realize is this stuff right here that just failed, it's still failing on the client. It's never going over to the server. It's failing on the client side. So again, they show this in the handout, but that's pretty much what you just saw. Okay? All right. It says, notice how the form has automatically used a red border color to highlight the text boxes. Okay? And it has emitted an appropriate validation error message. The errors are enforced both client side and server side. That's really important. Look on the screen. Please. See what's up there in gray? All right. Every one that we just did, it was validated on the client. But if we went in to into tools inside of Chrome and we disabled JavaScript and ran it, we'd still get the same errors, but then it would be from the server side. But the error messages would be the same. All right. It says the real benefit is we did not need to change a single line of code in our controller class or in Create to make this work. We really did not have to do too much to make it work. All right. Next, how validation occurs in the create view and create action methods. It says you might wonder how the validation user interface was generated without any updates. The next listing shows what the create method looks like. What they're saying is, remember we added this. Everybody with me? Didn't we do that at the beginning? We put that into that bind statement. All right. We also then had to go into our index.cshtml and account for that. All right. We had to make a heading for it, and then we had to make a data thing for it. Okay. So the author is saying here that this one, you know, there would be a get in front of this, but this post right here, the form is not posted to the server when there are errors. Did everybody hear that? If it fails, it will not be posted to the server. That's what we want to have happen. And they even show you on pages 10, 11, and 12 in here, you can set a breakpoint to prove that. We're not going to do that. All right? We're just going to take for granted that, yeah, that's the way it is. All right. So I'm jumping up a ways here. So below is the create.cshtml view template that we scaffolded earlier. It's used by the action methods to display the form, which is our HTTP GET, and it also redisplays it if there is an error. All right. It says, notice how the code uses an editor 4 to output the input element for each one. And it's also got those validation messages. You may or may not have seen these. Or was that? Was that in here? It's not in here. Oh, it would have to be in here. The author says here, I'm on page 15. We're just about done with this lesson. Open the movie.cs file and examine the movie class. All right. So I want to go over to my models and open up the movie.cs. It says the system component data annotations. This is the thing, again, that allowed all those changes to take place. We've already looked at that. All right. And I want to mention this because this is something that Colin had asked about before. I'm going to go out to the internet here and I'm going to type in ASP.NET data annotations. All right. And I want this one here from the Microsoft documentation. System.componentModel.data annotations. If you take your time to look through this, it shows you every one there is. So you'll notice we've done 3 or 4. There's more like 20 or 30 of them. All right. So yeah, you can go back and you can literally change virtually anything in there you want to or need to change. All right. So we went through that kind of quick, but hopefully it makes sense to you. We added data annotations. So we made sure that we were following errors. All right. We had error conditions set up. When we did that, we did the data annotations. We had to both run a new migration and we had to update the database. All right. So the last one that's in here, number 11, is on examining the details and delete methods. Again, this is the last one that is in this series. So it says in this part, you'll examine the automatically generated details and delete methods. So again, they say open the movies controller and find the details method. So open up the movies controller, find the details method. Here it is. The details method is designed to show a single record. Did everybody hear that? The details method is designed to show a single method. All right. When we first came in and we created this, if you remember, we created this controller with read-write actions. So the scaffolding engine automatically created this details method for us. Not only did it create that, which again, all this is doing right here. Look on the screen, please. This is saying, look and see if I put in an ID, look and see if that ID is in the database. And if it is, show the record. That's all this is doing. All right? And that's all there is. There's just that one details method. Why? Because it's designed to just show the details. Not to change anything, but to just show the details. So let's look at the delete. Again, please look on the screen. What this is attempting to do right here, the get part of the delete, I put in that I want to delete a movie. I say I want to delete movie 4, which is Rio Bravo. Somebody bought it. So I say I want to delete number 4. If 4 didn't exist, so let's say somebody ordered it online, but we've already sold it, the only copy we had, it won't be in the database. So we could get an error message right there because it could be null. So this is designed to just bring up, that one is designed to just bring up the error screen. That's it. All right, I'm going to do something here. Give me just a second. I'm going to try to make, I'll have to do it later. It's fine. So again, when we look at delete, and then we look at the delete for the post method, here's the key thing. Please look. What is that doing? What is that gray line doing? It's writing it to the database. All right? It's only the post methods that are going to put something in that are going to write it to the database. Does that make sense to everybody? So again, the idea is the get one will show you something, all right? And the post one will allow you, if you've made a change, to write that change out. That's most everything that's in here, all right? Now what I have to do this weekend is I printed out Paul's syllabus. His syllabus goes for the next 2 weeks. So I've got to look and see what he's doing, what he's done so far, as opposed to what we've done. I don't think he went through this exercise. Again, my hope is you're all like, yeah, at least it made sense. It makes some sense now. All right? He didn't want to do that for whatever reason, and that's his call. All right, again, not being funny. I don't care. He can do whatever way he wants to do it. It's his call. All right, what I'm going to do is right now, I'm going to quickly run over to run next door, and I'm going to grab a flash drive. And when I get done with the flash drive, I'm going to take my copy. I'm going to take my copy of MVC Movie Store, which is one of these in here someplace. I'll find it, but I know it's got to be in there someplace. And I'm going to put it on there. And if you had any errors on yours, so Colin, you can copy that over. And if you had any problems, I don't know if you had any problems with yours. Okay. And Tony, you can just copy it over. All right. Now, tomorrow, I'm expecting you're going to be here. I realize you get 6 days. So if you haven't used one yet, I'm burning one tomorrow. I get it. I do. But you do have time tomorrow. You've got 4 hours of lab. And my hope is everything that you owe me, so to speak, will be ready for Monday. That means in particular, all right, those 4 C# programs, we converted one of them over to an ASP.NET MVC, and I asked you to convert over the other 3. So my hope is if you're here tomorrow, you'll be able to do that. Yes.
Are we going to do anything with the ones that we just do?
No. The idea behind that was to show you how to transition from one to the other. That's all. So here's my MVC movie. So I'm going to quickly copy that. And if you need it, fine. I'll make it available to you. All right? So just give me a second and I'll be right back. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this and just pause it.